Hey there Facebook, it is Vanessa here again, as always, coming to you, speaker, trainer and coach, and I absolutely cannot wait to deliver today's message to you guys, which came from the incredible Brian out there. This one is just for you, and I hope that it is of benefit to everybody else listening. Thank you so much for your question. And Brian asked me to talk about the difference between disheartened and wholehearted, and also asked me to talk into why I find Gabrielle Bernstein's book May Cause Miracles, why that was transformational for me a couple of years ago now. So I definitely want to dive into that for you guys today, and it is absolutely the reason why I called today's message Overcoming Your Disheartedness with the Power of Wholeheartedness. Disheartenment with the power of wholeheartedness. Get it together, Vanessa. So that's what I really want to talk into, and firstly I want to answer that question that Brian asked. You guys know how I love getting your questions so I can talk into and create these messages that I know will be valuable. If one person finds it valuable, I'm sure many others will hopefully find it valuable as well. But ultimately, let's talk about those two concepts. So we're going to talk about being disheartened, and we're going to talk about wholeheartedness. So, disheartenment is really a loss of confidence and commitment. We have something that we're looking to create, or this goal that we're looking to move toward, and it doesn't go to plan, and we may end up in disheartenment. We might feel pretty disheartened, and we kind of lose our confidence and we lose our commitment. And the reason why we fall into this feeling and this sense of disheartenment is ultimately because we're just focusing on achieving a positive result, and we haven't balanced our perception out whatsoever. We've got this projection of experiencing only positive without the negative. And if any of us, we've all experienced disheartenment to some degree in our lives where things haven't worked out the way that we would love them to. And we can also look at those moments in time, and we can get more logical and rational and think about the fact that, of course, nothing's ever going to be just totally perfect and positive, and at some stage we're going to be faced with some challenges. But because we've had our mindset on experiencing only positive, and we end up experiencing the other side, which is only negative. So that's what creates a disheartenment, because we're living in this fantasy of only positive things should happen in the course and the journey toward my goal, that when negative things that are inevitable end up happening, we see only one side. This wasn't meant to be. I can't do it. I'm a failure. I'm disheartened. What's the point? Right? So the universe will bring us into balance if we don't balance out our perceptions for ourselves. So this is why we end up in disheartenment, because we're focused on only positive. All we want is the positive, and then something negative or challenging happens and we see only negative, and we feel defeated, and we no longer see a compelling future, because we had it in our brains that if it's going to work, if it's going to happen, if I'm going to achieve success, it's going to be all positive, it's going to be all brilliant, there's going to be no obstacles, and it's just going to be all success, success, success. And say that 10 times fast. And so this is why we end up in that defeated mindset, because we've been living in a fantasy of all good, and we see a challenge comes our way, and we don't have a growth mindset, where we're still seated in our fixed mindset of it's going to happen or it's not, and now there's a challenge, that means failure. So we get disheartened, we lose our commitment, we lose our confidence, and that's where we end up in that place. It's having a mindset of, you end up in this mindset of uncertainty about the result and your inability to handle the challenges, which ultimately ends you in that lack of confidence and commitment. Because why are you going to commit yourself to something that you don't believing and trusting in yourself to break through any challenge that comes your way, so we end up in that disheartenment. And then ultimately the difference, let's talk into wholeheartedness on the flip side so that you can see the contrast. So wholeheartedness is complete, sincere commitment. When we wholeheartedly want to do something, it means that we've actually, as the analogy kind of looks like, we see both sides. We're looking at the whole picture. We're not getting caught up in a fantasy of just positives focusing on challenges being failure and throwing us off track and losing our confidence and not trusting in our ability to break through. But wholeheartedness is an acceptance of the negative side as well. Wholeheartedness and that wholehearted commitment that comes with stepping into that way of being is positive expectancy for the results that you're looking to attain and achieve and move toward. But it's also coupled with an acknowledgement that there's no such thing as just positive. There's always a balance at play. And when we believe anything else, we're actually just trapping ourselves in fear. That's what disheartenment is. But wholeheartedness sees the whole picture, but it doesn't let the negative side of reality stop it in its tracks, because it sees it for exactly that. Reality. We're going to have the challenges, we're going to have the obstacles, and it doesn't let that throw it off course. It accepts wholeheartedly that it's going to break through those challenges, and it's going to remain having a positive expectancy for what we can create, and that sincere commitment, because we trust in our ability to figure things out, to break through the challenges, and ultimately we expect the inevitable challenges to come our way. And because we have a growth mindset versus the fixed mindset of that disheartenment, that is ultimately what allows us to, not see just like this bad thing happening, but instead, the inevitable challenge that is necessary to get us to grow so that we can overcome that next level of challenge and ultimately get to our destination through that journey of progression. And so because it's in equilibrium, wholeheartedness, and it's seeing the entire picture, it's not just focused on it has to be all positive and there's to be no negative. It's, hey, yes, we're going for the positive, but we're also expecting the negative. And together, when we get into equilibrium of that balance between being able to see both sides that are reality, that's when we make decisions and we're coming from love and gratitude. That is, without going into all the details, that is a science of getting into equilibrium in balancing out our emotional experience. And so definitely hoping that me sharing those differences between what is disheartenment, what is wholeheartedness, and ultimately how do we overcome our disheartenment when we don't attain our goals with wholeheartedness. So first off, we need that self-awareness. We need to know, what's going on to get me to that level of disheartenment, and what does wholeheartedness, how can I utilize that power of awareness around what that concept even means, and how can I utilize that to get out of my disheartenment so that I can ultimately reach my potential, get my goal, whatever it is. So when we have that awareness as to what's going on that's creating that experience in our lives of disheartenment, we can remind ourselves, you're only seeing the negative that's occurring and you're expecting only positive to be occurring. So that's what creates a disheartenment. Get out of that insanity and fantasy that it's only going to be one-sided, and remind ourselves that life is always in balance. And if you don't do the balancing out for yourself, life will do it for you. If you expect all positive, you're going to get woken up to the negative. So you might as well balance that out for yourself already. Future project what are going to be the challenges and what's the value and the benefit of these inevitable challenges. How do I actually need them to succeed and get my results? And when you shift to that mentality, you can ultimately wholeheartedly commit to your dreams, to your goals, whatever you're looking to attain. And definitely that wholeheartedness is coming from love and gratitude, appreciation for the journey, and coming from love and strength and courage, as opposed to fear, like wanting to block the negative and be all positive, which is a fantasy and not reality. And the sooner we break free of that mindset mentality, the sooner we can actually commit to our goals and dreams, because we have a mindset of certainty of growth, because we're trusting in our ability to figure things out and break through the challenges and take the lessons from them so that we can ultimately attain everything that we want to, that's meaningful to us. Hope that this is definitely valuable to you guys. And the second part of Brian's question, and I hope this answered your question, or I hope it's added some perspective that you were looking for there, Brian. I didn't totally know what you wanted me to talk really into what direction, but hope this was of value to you. And definitely the second part of Brian's question, he just wanted me to touch on one of the books that I've mentioned to you guys before that made a real impact in my life a number of years ago, was May Cause Miracles by Gabrielle Bernstein. And why I loved that book was because a lot of people read a lot of books, myself included, right? And what I hate is when we read these books, but we're not actually taking action and implementing it as we go. We're kind of just like reading this book. Oh, it didn't take all the action for me and make all the difference in my life. And so we go to the next book and then the next book, and we're learning, but when are we implementing? And so I love how this book was structured. I think I would do something very similar if I was to write a book, which would be to structure it in such a way that they are daily, easily attainable action steps that you can utilize right here, right now, without having to spend the next weeks or months, reading this book before you can actually implement anything. It's as you go. It's structured in such an easy, simple way that you can remain consistent with, and that's what gets results. So what it really was for me, I'll talk about my personal experience in this book, because I think different people will get different things depending on your level of consciousness and growth and experience and who you really are. So, but for me personally, where I was at that point in my life when I picked up that book, I was in a library at the time. I was having sort of some time apart from my long-term partner at the time. So I think we'd been together for like 4 years or something, and things just weren't gelling. There was something going on that just didn't feel good. Like we felt like we were quite codependent in that relationship, and both kind of needing a bit of our time to just, kind of find ourselves again. And so we had this 6 weeks apart. We didn't know how long it was going to be. I just kind of, went to stay with my family, and we'll just see how it's kind of going. And ended up being 6 weeks, and this course was for 6 weeks. So I think on my very first day or something, coming back home, I went to the library and I picked up this book. Just kind of jumped out at me, this May Cause Miracles book. And I picked it up and I was like, oh, this would be awesome. Like, it's 6 weeks. I can just focus on me. I just wanted to focus on getting reattached to who I am and what I want, and outside of filtering through my partner. And it was sort of an empowering process. And for me, the value that I really took from that book was all around surrender. And for me, it was like I was trying to make everything work myself. I'm kind of like, oh, I have to do all this and I have to do all that and I have to do all this, and I'm trying to get this, and nothing kind of was ever good enough. And so I was in that book kind of learnt the lessons of getting outside of myself and feeling connected to something just larger than myself. I'm not a religious person, but that book introduced me more to my spirituality, which is that attachment to, or connection, not attachment, but connection to something larger than ourselves that's kind of guiding us, the universal intelligence that we can be so oblivious to and think we're totally the center of the universe. But when we can let go and just surrender, wow, does that free up so much energy to notice different things rather than trying to be in control of everything. That's what that book really gave to me, was the power of surrender and attachment to something larger than myself, connection to something larger than myself. And so, yeah, really taught me that and expanded my mindset in terms of spirituality. And that book is, an avenue to get the lessons from A Course in Miracles. I'll show you the book because it's really good, really big. So, A Course in Miracles is this like big, ancient, it's really big. It's like this really old, I think there's like, I don't know, crazy amount, like 600 pages or something like that. It's a big book, like a big Bible or something. But that is a phenomenal book that I really encourage many people to dive into. The reason why I picked up A Course in Miracles, which is pretty intense, was because I actually picked this up from a secondhand bookstore and I just thought, whoa, this is cool. And I think I'd heard a number of people talk about it who I really admired in my industry. And so I thought, I'm going to pick it up. But it's very full of religious language. And for me, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to pick it up, because I wanted to break this mentality that I'd kind of grown up in not necessarily, I don't really like the label of atheist, because I think it comes with a lot of things. I don't like the label of it, but it wasn't a religious family that I came from. It was very scientific based. I did go to religious schools, so I was sort of, in it a little bit there, but not really. And this book is full of different religious language that kind of triggered me a little bit, because of my upbringing, because of my past, and because of people, I'd heard different things being said, right? And so part of why I picked up that book was to break through that limited mentality and expand my mind, which it did for me. But this book is not that accessible for a lot of people. It's pretty heavy, it's pretty deep, it's phenomenal if you want to pick it up. But there's been a number of books written based on the lessons learned in the Course of Miracles, in A Course of Miracles. So Gabrielle Bernstein's May Cause Miracles is one of those books. So is the book Lovability by Robert Holden that you guys have heard me recommend a million times, because it makes the concepts that can be missed in such a heavy, deep book, it makes them accessible in our everyday language and experience. So that's one of the reasons also I love that book. So I hope that, Brian, this has answered your questions. I hope it's been of value to you, and I hope every incredible human being who's been listening today has also gotten value from Brian's question and me talking into how we can utilize the power of wholeheartedness to overcome our disheartenment. And so I really hope that that's been valuable to you guys. If you haven't already, make sure that you come on over and join us in the Limitless Potential Inner Circle Facebook community. And also I've been opening up these 15-minute power sessions because I love getting to meet you guys wherever you are in the world, see what's going on in your world, see how I could support you on a deeper level and help you with a new perspective to break through to your empowerment. So if that's of interest to you with whatever's going on in your life right now, make sure you click on my calendar link above, choose a time that suits, and I look forward to really diving in and meeting you personally. And that's really all I wanted to share. So I want to dive in with you guys. If you've got any questions or comments or want to share any of your experience or just say hi, I'd love to connect with you now. So definitely do that. And let's see who's been able to join. I've got Eduardo and Linda and Stephen and Jamie and Hassani and Mel and Sam. Hello to you, and Hilton and Haru and Judy and Kenny. And Haru, proud of you, Divine One. Keep on shining. Thank you, Haru. I so appreciate your kindness and for you being here as well. That's awesome. And Carolina and Flavio and Sam, your messages are always valuable and timely. Oh, love hearing that, Sam. Thank you so much. And you can thank Brian for this awesome concept to talk about today. And if you guys do have any ideas for topics that you'd love for me to talk into, or questions, or any of that stuff, please let me know. I love making sure that these messages are resonating with you guys, so I love your feedback. And Moises is here, and Jolene and Hilton and Chris and Sarah and Marlon and Marcia and Rebecca and Philippe and Mary Pat and Sam. I'm guilty of fantasy and it sucks out my energy. Wholeheartedly is my new mantra. I love that, Sam. because I think that it's part of the human experience. We think that we can just have all positive and no challenge, but ultimately that is the source of our suffering and our pain, because we're expecting reality to be something different to what it actually is. And we can empower ourselves by understanding what's creating that pain and that suffering, or this disheartenment, and we can ultimately have a strategy for bringing ourselves back into balance and expecting the inevitable challenges and working on our trust within ourselves to always figure things out and utilize the lessons from every challenge that we're faced with to help us on that journey of progress to attain our destination. So, thank you for sharing, Sam. And Ryan's here. And Socrates, you're so welcome. And Jason and Thomas and Jagadish and Ivan and Alexandra, my spirit sister, and Sam. Oh, yeah, I read that one. And Phil and Jared and Moises, hello to you. And Sergio and Alexandra, growth definitely takes some grit and gumption along with gratitude as a guide. Love it. And yeah, so definitely that growth, you know, we've got to be focused on growth. I know you guys watching a video like this, you've all got growth as a high need within yourself. And so definitely we can't live in this fantasy that growth is just going to come to us through all these positive experiences in our lives. It's ultimately the biggest challenges that we face and we overcome that are of the most value toward our growth. So got to value growth, and if you value growth, don't live in a fantasy. Get clear on reality and learn to love the challenges. Learn to welcome the challenges, because you have a trust in your ability to absolutely grow and learn the lessons. So love that, Alexandria, and please do write a book. I really, really want to. Yes, so thanks for that encouragement. Thanks, Alexandria. And Susan and James and Nancy and Ram and Ty and Ravi and Bob and Elliot, hello. And Karen and Elliot, fun dress. Yeah, I hope it's not like causing your eyes to go funny. I think I've worn it before and somebody said, whoa, I can't look at that. My eyes are gone funny. So thanks, Elliot. And Lisa and Mike and Andrew and Angel and Michael, I agree that you're ready to write a book, Vanessa. Oh, thank you, Michael. You guys always know how to light me up. Thank you. And Hassani, hi V. Yes, can you please cover the difference between living in alignment with our highest values and avoiding expanding our comfort zones? Yeah, so difference between living in alignment with our values, highest values, and avoiding expanding our comfort zones. How about I do that one, because it's probably going to go pretty long. I love that question, Haas. I know we were going to speak on a call about that, but how about I do that for you potentially tomorrow, and I'll make a whole Facebook Live on it, because I think it's a valuable one, because talk about sticking ourselves in a box and labeling ourselves and only focusing in this way. So I really want to give that the time that it requires. So I will aim to do that for you tomorrow. Thanks for the suggestion, Haas. That will help a lot of people. And Jen, thank you. This is just what I needed to hear today. I love hearing that. Thanks, Jen. And you can thank Brian, who had this awesome question. And Aaron's here, and Tess. Hello, hope you're having a very blessed day. I am Tess, and I hope you are as well. And so guys, that really is my message. I really hope that you've taken some value away from today's message, and it's got you thinking more about where you kind of get trapped in this fantasy that leaves you in disheartenment, and instead notice that everything is always in balance. And if you don't balance out your own perceptions on the world will do it for you. So empower yourself by understanding what wholeheartedness really is. It's about seeing both sides, and it's about sincerely committing, because you know and expect that you're going to have challenges, but you know and trust that you will break through them, and you know that they are absolutely necessary on your journey to achieving what you're looking to really achieve that's meaningful to you, and you're not getting trapped in a fantasy of everything just coming to you and landing on your plate without the effort and without you breaking through. So love that, Alexandria, and much love to you, Tess and Bill. And guys, as always, I'm sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you, to wherever you are in the world today. I hope it's absolutely beautiful and amazing and extraordinary. And I hope you're going to do something empowering. And I cannot wait to see you guys tomorrow. Huss, I will definitely note down that question that you had, because it's super intelligent and powerful, and it will be seriously helpful to others. So thank you for that. And I will definitely do that for you tomorrow. So sending you guys all of my love. Can't wait to see you then.